Hi, and welcome to episode 4 of JelloCast.
Too quick.
What? No! Okay, well, hi! I guess I was a little too quick, but welcome to this week's JelloCast. I am here with my co-host Dev and our very special guest, Jess.
You almost forgot my name. It's okay.
No!
It was
I was thrown off.
dramatic.
No, but welcome, and today we're going to be talking about, well, we're going to be extending, I guess, upon last couple of weeks of our stuff.
We'll have a conversation generally about art or art-related things.
Yeah. So, Jess, what we usually like to do in our streams, to kind of get to know about our guests. So, can you tell us a little bit about it yourself?
I like drawing girls. That's all you need to know.
Okay. Hello, she's
Nice.
Glass, Toothbrush, and Tom.
Yeah.
Hi,
Welcome,
Tom.
welcome. And Glass and Wooshi. Who's Wooshi?
Welcome to Tsai as well.
Oh my god, there's so many people!
I hope some of the people from my server. I added it, hoping people would come.
Hey.
YouTube looks weird. Okay.
I need to have a big thing of music to be playing in the background for all of this.
Hello. Yes. Yeah, Tom's the one that edited my speed paint and chose the song, and I've fallen in love with it ever since.
Aww.
I really like
It's
the
a great
little.
experience.
I really like the little video with it. It looks really nice.
Yeah, it's really,
cute.
Yeah.
Alright.
Thanks, Tom.
Hey.
So, what do we have first on the schedule, Dev?
First on here was what is and is not theft in the art community. Brought up because
Jess, would you like to start us off?
Brought up because Jess has
Oh,
talked about this at lengths before.
Ooh, okay. I swear everyone knows about my opinion on this. What subject of theft are we doing? Like tracing? We're doing copying. I have a lot of opinions.
Well, I think that we should definitely talk about, like, what
Let me close my
is
window so you don't
theft.
hear the dogs in the background. Actually,
Oh my god, I love dogs!
they're having a little conversation outside. Okay, we Gucci.
Thank you, Glass. Glass understands me, Dev.
That hurts, man.
Okay, so
So I guess we should talk about, like, what generally is, like, what is considered to be art theft. So, like, the different forms of it and stuff like that.
okay, so for me personally, art theft is when you take the property or something that was not made from, like, by you, and kind of claim it as yours or don't state it as not yours. So for instance, with reposts, I think reposts, personally, I find them absolutely fine, as long as credit is given, and as long as you don't post artwork when an artist specifically has something saying do not repost. To me, that's not theft. You are in no way claiming it's yours, and you are going by what the artist says. If the artist hasn't said anywhere not to do it, then fine, fair game. Like,
Yeah.
but if you repost and claim it as yours or don't say that it's not yours, I consider that theft.
Right. I guess that's actually a really good explanation of theft in, like, any kind of form. Like, if it's not yours, don't take it, or if you're allowed to, give credit to who actually made it.
Oh, do you know what I hate, if I'm being honest? You see those Instagrams that post a ton of, like, anime art, and then in the description they go, credit to whoever made this, like, bitch!
Well,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
that's the same as
It
saying
takes
like
2
there's no
seconds.
credit there.
Yeah, it takes, no, but this annoys me even more, because they're trying to get around it, but it takes 2 seconds to Google, like, reverse an image and find out who made it. It's pretty easy. And the fact that you won't even give enough respect to do that, and if you are unsure about who made it, don't post it. Just don't. If you don't know who it is and you can't, like, be bothered to find it, don't bother to post it.
Right? Okay, so, Glass made a point saying that they're okay with tracing. I agree to a
Same.
point where, like, okay, so if you're trying to learn more about art and you're trying to develop a style and stuff like that. If you ask permission from the artist and give credit to them after tracing it, I am totally fine with that. But if you trace a drawing and then don't ask permission from the initial artist and just claim it as your own, then I am not okay with that. It's kind of like recolors and stuff like that. It's kind of douchey.
I mean, I always was very simple about it. Just if there's any monetary gain involved that is something they shouldn't have, then that's what the stealing is.
Yeah.
Much like if someone walks up to you and takes $5 from you, that is also stealing.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I see people who will like repost art and they'll put like their donation links underneath it. Like, boy,
give me the money for showing you this art of someone else's.
I'm not saying everyone that uses Twitch, but a lot of people in Twitch will take art and use it as a banner or something and then get money from it. I don't like that. But back on the tracing thing, I believe it's completely fine to trace. You can use it to learn. If you are purely using it to learn in any way, you don't have to post it. Like, to be honest, if you are not going to credit and you haven't got like permission from the artist, don't post it. But it's still fine to trace to learn. The thing is, it's all about if you know how to learn from that tracing. Like, for instance, you use it to break it down into shapes to learn the anatomy. For me, tracing's fine. Another really finicky thing that I think we should get onto is what copying. Is copying theft?
Okay.
It depends.
Have a personal opinion on that. So, if you're kind of like, okay, so I've heard that copying art styles is theft, and I don't get that.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, every art style is different, and if it has a vaguely similar look to it, then it's not copying. It's just their art style, and for people who claim to steal it, it's just honestly really stupid in my opinion.
Well, no, the thing is, even if it is completely a replica or something, remember as a kid, you would copy Pokemon art style, you would copy like anime art style. In my opinion, it's not theft. It's a step to learning.
Yeah, little thing that I remember I did. When I first ever started doing little art, my art looked like garbage as expected. I was drawing like little weird shade creatures, and then the first time I decided I want to do better, the thing that I did to try and learn how you're supposed to be able to draw shapes into making facial features and making hair and all that kind of stuff is I just at this particular moment I ended up just starting to watch Death Note, and I took a picture of L's face and I put a piece of paper against my screen and just traced out his whole face and then just tried to like break it down into the shades.
Oh yeah, you talked about this I think it was the last podcast.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember going to people and being like, hey, look at this. This is a great character. It's not my character, but it's a really cool character.
Right.
That was a lot
You
of
see,
fun.
that is what I can appreciate, and saying that that's okay.
I feel like same with like copying. Like, oh my god, the most bullshit thing is pose theft. I hate the concept, and I think it's completely dumb.
Like bases and stuff like that?
No, pose theft, where someone does the same pose as someone else.
Yeah, no, that doesn't make any sense because
that doesn't make any sense.
There is a finite amount of poses that people can make in drawing. A lot of people use the same pose because it's the easiest pose to draw.
Yeah.
The idea of a natural pose where someone's just standing upright. It's like, oh wow, you stole that from all the other people that did a natural standing upright pose.
I don't know if you guys will agree, but I think personally there are a lot of rules surrounding art now. Like, there seems to be, you can't do this because this is unoriginal. You can't do that because that's Tracy. You can't do this because it's theft. If you do this, you're lazy. I think there's like a lot of rules now these days as like art's become more and more popular, at least online. Like, what, do you agree? I don't know.
I feel it's just a voice for people who want to be angry or want to show that they're angry about something. It's not really that they think it's bad. It's more that they just want to get. I feel like some people only actually talk about it because it's something that could become controversial, and that's why people sometimes say that they have an opinion that isn't actually their actual opinion. I hear people contradict themselves, and I'm guilty of this too. I'm very hypocritical when it comes to some very very particular things, where I remember moments where I've changed my mind, and it comes off as just me being a hypocritical person who thought one way but then thought exactly the opposite way, like 5 weeks later, or less time than 5 weeks, because 5 weeks is actually a fair amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly. But I'm trying to think. Have you guys ever experienced like your art being stolen? Like
Yes.
She
like
has
from a
yes.
follower, at least, or like, you know, I know that we talked about this briefly like before we streamed, but how about like an unknowing person or a person that just really didn't want to credit your art?
My heart's not good enough for that.
Yeah. Like, I guess this kind of falls under. So what happened was a friend informed me that my art was being reposted. It was a piece that had got quite popular. That was the commission. It was one of the 02 ones I showed you. The reason I was kind of so harsh is because it was a commission. Now I don't really. I'm quite lenient when people steal my stuff. I usually don't care too much if they're not getting like too much attraction from it, because then I'm not losing much. I'll usually just leave a comment being like, "Yo, this is mine." End of story. But this was a commission, so it was different. I felt like I kind of had to defend the person because someone paid money for this.
Right,
So like,
right.
it's not just my time it's being lost, it's someone else's money, and that pissed me off a bit. So this person had reposted my art on a Discord channel that said only post your own art. So in my opinion, I count it as them claiming it to be theirs because they posted it in a chart where you're supposed to only post yours.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't think they were a follower of mine. I think they probably saw it just retweeted somewhere because that piece got quite popular. And I feel like the best way to deal with stuff like that is not make an uproar. I wouldn't try telling your followers, because as much as I know that the intention is good when followers go to them and go, "How dare you steal?" it can come off quite aggressive and some people take it too far.
I can't
If
help but
you
feel that it
when
would
someone
only
steals
ever
your piece,
come off as aggressive.
yeah, but when someone steals your piece, the best you can do is handle it yourself. And really, the only thing you can do is either talk to the person or just leave a simple comment saying this is yours. Usually, this sounds weird, but usually that's enough to scare them off and they'll delete it. If you just comment being like, "This is mine."
Yeah.
I feel like that's personally my opinion on the best way to deal with it, because some people get quite riled up over stolen art, and rightfully so, but I think the only person that should really be allowed to make harsh comments is the person who made it.
Yeah. I mean, that's reaching more on the idea of like human decency, but when it comes to online, we already know that human decency doesn't play a huge role.
Yeah, I've had people steal. Like, I used to do sketches before a commission because I know how scary it can be handing over money to an artist you don't know, and especially someone you don't know, and it can be quite scary, seeing there are quite a few scammers. So what I used to do is I'd do a less than 5-minute sketch before they handed over their money, so they'd get an idea of what they're getting before paying. This dude took the sketch, dipped, and traced over it. In my opinion, watermarking does not save you from getting stolen. People know how to erase them, they know how to trace over it, and he claimed it as his own. And I only was really pissed off by it. Usually I wouldn't pay attention, but I was pissed off because I was tricked into thinking I was going to get paid. That was annoying.
That's pretty bad, yeah.
Yeah, he took it down though. And I just commented being like, "Yo, please don't post unpaid for artwork." And he pussed it out.
So, I've never really gotten, like, in recent times, I've never really gotten my art particularly stolen. I guess I'm not that good, but...
Same.
I
feel you.
I'm playing.
To be honest, it's about how many people it reaches out to, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. But I remember, like, this was years ago when my art was, like, getting somewhat better. It was, like, back in 2015. And, I was in Texas, and I remember, like, getting really heated up because one of my friends had their art stolen. So I started talking to the person, like, "Hey, can you please delete this?" Stuff like that. I might have been, like, a little aggressive, but
No, there's nothing
can't
wrong
remember.
with it. It's fine. Yeah.
And I remember looking back on their profile, and the bitch took a screenshot of my most recent drawing and posted it. And I'm like, "What the fuck? Okay, you think you can run away now, but I got your ass on lockdown." I was pissed off But yeah, that's really the only time that my art was stolen. And yeah, I other times, like when people repost my art, they tag me or put me in the description or like in the little caption, so I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm down. So I don't know.
Sorry, I choked on tea.
It's okay. But it gives me a little certain happiness when people repost my art with credit, of course, and it's like, aw, that's awesome.
Mm.
So
Sorry,
Dev,
What's up?
it's okay. What's the next little thing that we have on
Okay,
our list?
move on. Next one that we have here are the thoughts on the evolution of animation in cartoons.
All right.
So,
go ahead.
okay. What I was thinking was more on the idea of like animation as a whole, not specific to any particular region, but as a whole for each place and how it's evolved with the technology that we now have with it, which we didn't have years ago, and whether you think it's better or worse, that kind of stuff.
Okay, so let's go way back to when cartoons were like first becoming popular, I guess, like 1930s kind of shit. So we all know that we also have like this certain nostalgia whenever like we look at 1930s art and animation and stuff like that, like with Cuphead and Bendy, for example. You know, we kind of based ourselves with that, and it does have a certain specific art style and an animation style as well, called rubber hose animation. But think to like the 1960s kind of Disney style and how it became more smoother, I guess. Like once Snow White came out, animation changed like completely. I don't know if you guys can like think about that.
No, I do think too. Disney really fast like pushed for animation. There was definitely a time where okay, I might go on a tiny bit of a tangent here, but I do think there was a time where 2D animation was definitely at its prime and Disney pushed for it. And I feel like Disney has done it again where they pushed for 3D. I personally don't mind 3D. I think it's just like another generation of animation.
I don't mind 3D, but I honestly really wish that they had pushed a little bit harder for 2D than they did for 3D.
Yeah,
because I think that the 2D kind of like made them who they are.
I mean, a general issue that I have between 2D and 3D is like a lot of the 2D films I think are really, really good, and the fact that they use 2D animation mixed with other animating programs and styles and softwares makes it really interesting because it's a merging of different abilities and different styles, and it just kind of, because it's Disney, they can make it work, and you know that they can make it work because they have a lot of resources and they have a lot of people that can work like that. And then they moved up to 3D animation and they made it all solely 3D animation. I feel like it just kind of, I mean, for me, it's walking backwards because it turns these cool, intricate, interesting ways of using animation and it turns it back on its head.
Yeah. Also, Bakeron pointed out that it was the Disney Renaissance that, like, when Disney was like pushing more towards 2D animation, kind of like when Lion King came out, and you know, The Little Mermaid, stuff like that. That was their Renaissance. Like they were just blockbuster after blockbuster and stuff like that.
I have a little bit of resentment, mainly because I really, really like Treasure Planet.
Oh my god, me too.
And I found out from a video, I don't remember what the name of the channel was, but there was a guy who made a video essay about Treasure Planet as Disney's like worst failure.
Oh my god, I've seen that video and I got so mad at it. I'm like, no, it's the best.
I watched the video and I remember loving the movie. I remember it being one of my favorite things. I remember watching it over and over again, but I couldn't go against any of his points. He was right about things, and that made me really sad because I felt like if they pushed harder for 2D animation and they tried to merge the effects like they did in Treasure Planet and also in Tarzan, that they could have made even greater films. And the fact that there was a Treasure Planet sequel that never got to happen because of that made me really, really sad. Because it was that perfect moment of like, it didn't fully need a sequel, but it wouldn't have been harmed by having a sequel. So it would have worked well enough to me. And it makes me sad that it didn't go that way.
Yeah.
It's because I'm always a slut for Treasure Planet.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a certain nostalgia with Treasure Planet. You know, the main character, what was his name again?
Of Treasure Planet?
Yeah.
Fuck.
The human dude.
Shit.
Who's like a rebel.
Yeah, I know exactly. Well,
I have daddy issues.
The heck was his name?
Yeah. Well, you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
well, yeah, of course.
Fucking, whenever I was younger, I used to watch it a lot with my brother, and I would look at the main character, and I would be like, that's my brother, because they look the exact same. I swear to God. And my mom used to, like, comment on, like, how I used to call the main character my Bubba, because that's
My
what
God.
I call my older brother.
Jim Hawkins.
Just Bubba.
His
I
name
don't know.
was Jim Hawkins.
Jim. Okay, yeah. But...
Jimmy boy.
Jim Boy. Jim Boy. Yeah.
No, it's Jimbo.
I know.
No, that's Jimmy Neutron.
I know.
Oh my
God.
God.
Aside from that though, Glass said, "Here's my question: what do you like seeing on YouTube? Big YouTubers or small YouTubers?"
Okay,
Like,
big YouTubers are nice and all, but whenever I come across like a smaller YouTuber and they have really good stuff, I tend to watch them more, I guess, because like that's a wholesome thing, you know, it's something that you want to change and you want to be like, hey, I want to help you out kind of thing, and like you watch more of their videos. I guess, like, I don't know, I just tend to watch more smaller YouTubers.
I am currently very, very cut off and closed off from all of small YouTubers. Because I imagine what people do is they say, oh yeah, there's this small YouTuber I watch and he does really great stuff, and so they watch him. But you know, I just don't talk to people enough to have that moment where they're like, oh, I watch this small YouTuber, you should check him out. I've only seen the larger YouTubers.
I'll send you some smaller YouTubers. I got you, bro.
For me, for both small and large, what I find really, like, is endearing the right word? Like the one where you really like it?
Yeah, endearing.
Yeah, is a want to, like, I don't know, like, what I really like to see is, people, like, for both small and big, is a want to entertain. Like, a want to provide content which they, like, of course, any means do what you enjoy, but I do like to see content creators that want to make something that the audience will enjoy.
Yeah, I would say that's...
I've always admired. Yeah.
I would say that in itself is an endearing quality.
Humor is something I really enjoy. Like, yes, I enjoy art a lot, but out of everything, someone could have horrific art, but if they are really funny, I love watching them. For big YouTubers, I like to see professionalism. Like, I like to see them taking the money that they've earned and their fame and using it to create better content and better quality things, because I like to see that. So for bigger, I like to see they're using their numbers not as an excuse to get lazy, but an excuse to provide something higher quality. Because I feel like when you're smaller, you have to rush videos out, you have to grow, you have to try and your best to like get there and get to that point where you can actually slow down and realize, okay, now I've got an audience, I've not got to worry about losing people, and I can actually put a lot more effort into things.
Right. Because, like, okay, so that's kind of the reason why I really like smaller YouTubers, I guess.
Real quick here, though. Something that Robert said really resonates with me here. Find a YouTuber that makes videos that they like, and don't make videos that they think will be viral.
Yeah.
If you're watching someone who actually is just enjoying what they're doing and having a fun time, you know, in the actual creation of the process, then you'll notice that they put a lot more effort into it to make it nicer.
I mean, you can always mix like original content with something that will go viral. There's nothing wrong with wanting to get views,
Yeah,
but
no.
I think doing the same thing because you know it's the same thing that will get viral, and then doing it in a creative way. Like, I like seeing comedic videos. Like, although I think Fortnite has kind of been overdone, I like seeing comedic videos on it where people almost make fun of the fact that it's like that.
I like satire
And
as
like,
well.
but they don't use that as an excuse to not be original, or not. I don't mean original. There's no such thing as complete originality, but they don't use it as an excuse to get lazy.
To stagnate
Yeah.
their content is basically.
Yeah.
They just when you start to get lazy and you don't feel like putting effort into it, probably because you don't like it. It's just where you start to stagnate and everything becomes exactly the same and it just gets boring. I have not heard of Call Me Kevin. I have no idea what that is.
I think okay, that I don't know why, but that name is bothering me because like I think I've heard of it, but I'm not entirely sure. You know, I don't know. But like what I was going to say earlier is like that's why I really like smaller YouTubers, because they want to put, like, the majority of them want to like help out and or like create content that is enjoyable for them and for others. I guess. I don't know why, but that's why I really like them. It's a kind of wholesomeness kind of vibe, I guess.
Yeah.
Wholesome videos.
Yeah.
I
Great wholesome fun.
I at some points, very often have refused to try and go to make any kind of funny comment or anything in any of my videos, purely out of the idea that if I think I'm trying to be funny, that I'm not going to be funny, and it's going to sound even worse if you're trying to force yourself to try and be funny.
Okay.
That was a mouthful for me for some reason.
It's okay. But have you ever like made a video and like you spend a lot of time on it and you're like, okay, I'm going to post this now. You know, I'm happy with what it is now. And then as you're uploading it, you're like, maybe I shouldn't, because, you know, you watched through it a couple more times and you're like, that doesn't look particularly good.
Yeah,
oh
I've done that for a lot of my videos, but not so much the newer ones. When I do the newer ones recently, there's an amount of like happiness that comes just from seeing how I've done it, even if it's not very good. Currently, that's how I am.
Yeah. Bankeron said, a question. Do you think more followers or subscribers or fame in general motivates you to improve your art, or gives you a crutch to stop improving because people accept the stuff you already make?
I think it's a crutch.
Okay. For me personally, I think for me, I do want to improve, but I can understand why people will stop at some point, because they get to a point where they find something that their fans enjoy, and it can be very hard to step away from that. Like, I think Cypher Den is a really good example of this. Like, watching her old videos, you see how intensely animated they are. They were a lot more, I will admit, they're a lot more animated than what she has now. And if you see her art, she improves constantly, but she doesn't put it on her videos because if you change your image, you can lose people, and it's almost like a scare. And like, people ended up wanting more content, and they weren't worried about having less effort. I mean, it gets to a point where it's your job, and you want to produce that really high quality stuff, but no one else wants you to, it seems like. And I wouldn't say that it's completely the creator's fault, because if you watch them from the outside, they are constantly improving. But if you watch them from their videos, most of the time, I'm not speaking for everyone, they don't improve because that's not what their fans want. And they're like, well, if I improve, they're not going to like it.
Yeah.
So they end up becoming more lazy because that's what the fans demand.
Right.
I'm not saying all the time it's the fans' fault.
Yeah, no, it's just a dislike for change, really.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess my stance on it is like, I want to improve so that I can put out better content, you know, as it goes out. That's just my opinion, but I guess not too much to the point, like not to change so much to the point where I lose my following. but like steadily get better as time goes on. Like a good example of this is the odd ones out. You know, if you look at his earlier videos, you know, there's not much animation, stuff like that. You know, the backgrounds were not really that good, I guess.
I admire him because although he realizes what he's bad at, and what he's done is he uses the money that he's got to hire people to create higher content. He is still constantly improving himself, but he's hired animators to help give people like a better viewing experience, and I can really commemorate them for that because I see a lot of YouTubers that get quite, I guess, I don't want to say the word greedy, but they definitely don't like letting go of their money. And they kind of, that sacrifices the quality of the stuff they make.
Right.
I like what Gizmon is saying here. I just want to quickly read through that, and because I read like 3 words and I was like, interesting. It's not just a dislike for change, but it's a want for more content to like. For example, Den noted this as she would do more videos by lowering the art and animation standard of the video. Yeah. Which I think is fine, but honestly, I'm a bad example to talk about because with every video I've put out, I've slowly and steadily been wanting to do something different every time.
Same.
Right.
So I don't think either of us are good examples for really explaining it. It's just from the outside in.
I don't know, but my take is that I want to steadily improve so that I can, you know, get better as time goes on.
I wonder if you'll keep that viewpoint though. If you actually started getting bigger and started getting greater, if you would keep that viewpoint or instead settle into this one.
Yeah. Because if it got to the point where this is paying your bills and you're like, well, if I do what my fans want and create more content, that means you're pleasing your fans and paying your bills. But if you do what you used to do, it's not paying your bills and your fans aren't as happy because you're not creating as much content.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like when doing art, a lot of people would bring up the idea of like, I want to do art to a point where I can make a living out of art. And if you're making the living, is there really much point into improving your art if you start to lose the money that you're making from it? Because a lot of people are like, I just want to be able to make money with my art, and then they're making money with their art, and if they improve any more than that, then they stop.
That's like when to know them for that specific type of art and that specific type. So if they improve or change, they lose people because people come to them. It gets to a point where you get big enough that people come to you for that specific style, and you don't want to improve. Like I at some point got to a point where people were commissioning me a lot, and I was worried about improving and like stuff like that because people were coming to me for the specific style. Didn't mean I didn't want to improve. On the side I was, but I didn't know what to do for a while because I was like, if I change too much, then people might not like it and I won't get commissions.
Right.
I'm pretty certain that if you switched from art style that you're doing right now to a much more traditional, much more like focused on realism, I'm sure people would just stop and not want your art.
Yeah, because I've grown an audience that wants more like more cartoony stuff, more like kind of what I have. People like what I have, so why would I want to change and risk my living? Of course, it's not all about money. I do definitely enjoy art as on its own. Like, for instance, I can't really make too much money off of it right now, but I'm still drawing. I still enjoy it. There's definitely an enjoyment out of it. But I can understand why people don't want to change.
Right.
Change is scary.
Change is very scary, I can say that. Because, like, okay, so I don't know if you guys get this, but whenever I decide, I kind of like this, I want to draw like that and have that in my art style, I feel as though, like there's this welling up regret in the back of my mind, and it makes my stomach uneasy and stuff like that, and I'm like, maybe I should like hold off because, you know, I don't want to get out of my comfort zone, but I really like this style, and that's how I feel whenever I change my art style.
That's what happened with my like the Mr. Steak drawing I did. I had such fun drawing that. I will not hide. I had so much fun. It took hours and hours, but I had so much fun drawing it. And I sat back and I was like, I've improved. But then I looked at the art I was giving for commissions and I was like, oh God, what am I doing? Like,
right.
And I felt guilty because I was like, this looks really high quality, but I know I can't produce this for every commission. and
Oof.
I almost felt guilt posting it because I thought worried people were going to go, why didn't you draw that for me? And it's kind of made me not want to show my improvement.
Yeah. It becomes a point where
I'm
you're
trying to
worried
figure
about what
out.
other people
Yeah.
think.
I'm trying to find a way to mix the two. It's very hard because I do want to produce higher quality things, but I don't want to change the style I have now. Seeming I do personally like it, and also it's what people want. Like
right.
I
Yeah.
For me and styles, I really need friends for all of that kind of stuff. The people that would say keep on trying to do cartoon stuff, keep on trying to do that, because otherwise I would be a slave to what I'm good at this current point, and I wouldn't do anything different. I'm sure that if I wasn't friends with the people that I'm friends with in the artistic community, that I would choose one singular thing in art and just do it over and over and over and over and over again and come to hate it.
Right, yeah. Alright. What's the next thing that we have on our list?
Before I move into the next list, I've hit a point here where I've made a certain kind of promise here. So, let's just see. Open up this. Just want to make sure that everyone is very clear. Today is a wonderful, amazing day. Today is one of my favorite days because today is Rose Entertain's birthday. And if you haven't said happy birthday to her in DMs, just spam happy birthday to her. Just do that.
Go onto her Twitter and just at her like 50 billion times.
Give her kisses and hearts because she is a sweet girl and deserves it.
She's the best.
We love you, Rose.
She's the best.
Absolutely.
Yes, agree.
I remember.
100%.
I have enjoyable time with her. I remember like 2 days ago, I was pretty tired. Our conversation consisted of us saying I love you too 5 times in a row.
Yay.
Yay. So there, everybody say happy birthday to the greatest girl in the world, Rose Entertains.
Happy birthday, Rose.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Rose.
birthday. I love her very much.
All right.
You're a cutie.
Hearts and kisses. This game.
And also, yes, I do remember you, Yeti.
Oh, someone brought up a good point. So someone said, well, if you change art styles, won't you require new fans interested in that art style for every fan you lose? Unfortunately, it's not like that. I wish it was, but a lot of the time, when you hit a point, you do stop improving for a while because you don't know how, and that's when you gain the most following because you have something consistent. But people do not like something that isn't consistent. So if you are constantly improving and changing, you will lose people because people like consistency. And the idea of if you change art styles, you'll bring in more people that are interested in the style. Yes, but then when you improve again, you'll lose those people. It'll constantly be a gain loss, gain loss, gain loss.
What
which
I was
isn't good.
my thoughts on that actually were, if you change your art styles, you're no longer consistent. The people who like the new art style that you start doing, they'll look at your current stuff and they'll be like, oh, that's good, and then they'll go back and look at your old stuff and be like, oh, it's different, I don't want to follow them because what if they change again? The idea that a person isn't consistent is what makes people want to stop watching and stop looking.
I would recommend, if you do want to change art styles, do it like tiny bit by tiny bit, especially if you have a following. You change tiny bits and introduce it and hear what people's feedback are, because also feedback can really help. Like for me, I think opinions are as valuable as like CNC, because sometimes opinions can just help you see a piece from another person's eye, because staring at a piece for a long time can make you hate it or just not see the flaws in it. So just hearing a bland opinion can really help.
My improvement's always been based on deep end, which now that I say out loud sounds like a weird way to phrase it. Basically, every time I improve in things, it's entirely based on putting me into a situation where I'm way out of my depth and otherwise wouldn't be able to do well. High stress environment, that's the words. If I have to improve to keep up with things, then I will improve under most circumstances.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I remember the point where I started getting really good at more traditional styles of art was they sat me in a room and said, in order to pass this, you need to draw a face and it has to be really good. And so I sat there and I just put all the effort I could possibly put into it, and it turned out good. And I was like, yes, I did it. I improved.
Yeah. All right. So before we forget, what's our next little topic? Yeah.
Okay. The next one here, it says the changing of contemporary styles in artistic media.
In artistic media,
You know,
so like, we were talking about.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
Maybe we should move on to the next one. We kind of covered that already.
I think that's all.
More in the sense though. For this, it was more in the sense of the cartoons I saw in media, rather than the media of the community. More in the sense of like how art styles has grown from how it was back then to how it is now, and what's different and why it's good or bad. Because a lot of people think it's real bad with some things.
Yeah. For example, the accursed CalArt style. Or the alleged, I guess I should say, because, like, honestly, I get it, a lot of people are pissed off by it, but can't you realize that that's just been the way it's been for years now? Like, a lot of people have been developing art styles, like, similar to its era, like we were talking about earlier, and stuff like that. And, you know, it just changes over time. But how do you guys feel about the alleged CalArt style?
Ooh, okay.
I think that's really stupid.
So, I think it's dumb, because, of course, people are going to develop the same style. In a team, you want someone to be able to draw the exact same as the person they're sitting next to, because it's how you make things fluent. If you have everyone doing something slightly different, it will show heavily in the animation.
Oh, yeah.
And this whole supposed CalArt style, the reason it's developed is because it's the Cartoon Network style, and everyone wants to work at the biggest dog. You'll see people from CalArts doing a more Disney style or a more like Cartoon Network style, depending on where they go. And I don't think it's a bad thing. The main argument is usually when they talk about Cartoon Network, and the reason why they have a lot of the same stuff is because it's the studio style.
Yeah.
Like, you see a lot of studios have a specific what? I got the word. I'm trying to be serious and I can't say specific. Yes. Okay. But I've lost my train of thought. Basically, like, it's the studio style, and each studio comes with a different style. So of course people are going to aim for the biggest that they can. They want to appeal to those big audiences, like to the big like companies, because that's the place that they're going to get a job at.
Yeah,
I
don't
really
studio.
shun people for having a CalArt style, because I see it as people who are striving to work at a studio, because there's always the option to do freelance. It's up to the person. I don't think people should be shunned for having this supposed CalArt style, because it's what they want to do. They want to go on to become an animator that works on a show. So they've got to be able to mimic art styles. That's something I'm learning so I can go off and get more into the industry. I don't think it should be shunned at all.
No, it shouldn't be. Also, I need to make sure that I'm getting this right and that I'm not being stupid about it, but I need to check this real quick. There is a person there that I saw that said, my art style is bad, lol. I am pretty sure I remembered seeing their art in Jess's server and thinking, damn, that's really good art. So, heck you, man.
Hit you with a heart, banker on, just...
I know Bank. I've been like, Bank's been doing a lot of art, and to be honest, Bank, everyone hates their art. Like that seems to be something that runs with artists. Not all, but a lot of them hate their art. And if you just sit there and hate on it, you're not gonna get anywhere. But if you take that hate and go, you know what, I hate my art, I'm gonna do something about it. That's how you should view it. Instead of sitting there going, my art's so bad, lol.
You gotta hate
my
the
art's
world
bad.
so much.
What's bad about it? Go. Because like, it's taken me years to somewhat like my art. I'm finally getting to a point where I'm like, yeah, this looks good. I like this. But I went through years of my art's bad. I hate it. But instead of sitting there and going, it's bad, I don't like it, I went, what's bad about it? How can I prove? How can I make it that I like it? And that's what you need to do.
I was right too. I scrolled up through the art and I saw the art piece that I saw Bank make, and I saw that and I remember thinking distinctly, hey, that's really cool.
Shit, send it through chat because I want to like compliment.
Right,
Keep in mind, Bank is like a really new artist. Like they haven't been drawing for a long time.
That reminds me of like Twilner, because I remember he walked right into the artist community, started drawing, and just improved really, really quickly.
Okay, Bank. I love your use of colors. God damn, that looks amazing.
It's all like color clean palette. It's great.
I actually made a video using their color palette.
Yeah.
None of it is very
also,
hard.
Glass said, to be honest, I love Tutt's art style. I won't mind seeing Tutt make a 5-minute cartoon. Okay, so here's the thing. Ooh, I can't do a 5-minute cartoon on my own, but fucking like, I really want to make like these shows, the series. I have a lot of ideas stored in my brain cells.
She has a really cool idea that she's told me a lot about, because I asked to do a voice acting for one of her characters.
Yeah. His name is Florence, and he's amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really want to do an art, like a series or some sort. But I'm working on
animated comics. Like some comics do like slight animations and stuff.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to talk about this, but I'm gonna give you guys a little head start. So a friend and I are working on a webcomic series on Tumblr. So just keep a lookout for that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. But I really do want to start like doing like stories and animated like stuff, because you know all I do is animatics and I need more time to just get to work doing an actual animation.
Takes a lot of time to do that though. Hey look, it's the fluffy ears.
That was Bank's character, and I used the exact colors that they used on their character because I didn't need to change them. They were good.
It's very nice.
Yeah. Honestly though, Bank, wonder stuff.
Good stuff.
Yes, absolutely. Shout out to Bank, because
yeah. I remember I go to Jess's server
honestly,
because
if you think that your art is bad, just like wait a few like months and like you will improve. But like Jess said, like what you gotta point out what you don't like about it, and then actually pursue it and try to figure out a way to like fix that. But eventually you will improve. Like, boy, have you seen my 8th grade art? Oh my god.
Can I be right back? My bird's like stand is right next to me and it smells of bird poop.
Oh gosh.
Oh no!
Oh no.
Well, just died. No.
Rip.
Oh, pepperoni. But yeah, just try to fix what you think is bad about your art. And, you know, it's also really helpful.
Sorry. It was sitting in the sun next to me, and I was just like, this is not nice.
Yeah.
Gross poop smell.
But, point out what you don't like, and ask questions of people that is, like, you know, that know what's going on and how to fix that.
What's up, B?
So, hey, Rose! Happy birthday!
Everyone should say happy birthday to that cutie.
Yeah, it's amazing. She's wonderful.
Corey, I'm not cheating on you, I swear.
It's so good. So great.
Oh, also, Bank said that you can redraw, like, your old art, which I have been doing, like, recently.
It's so fun to redraw. Like, I did that too recently.
Yeah.
I remember distinctly either destroying or just deleting all of my old art, so I can't do any of that.
Yikes, that's not a good idea. Always
No.
keep always keep old art up. No, always keep old art up, even if you don't like it, because it shows people how you've improved, and it shows yourself how far you've come. Like, I keep old videos up because I hate, even if I hate them, because I want to see how far I've come.
Yeah, I remember distinctly though. There was a bless you. There was bless you. I remember distinctly though. I have no idea what kind of shit went through my brain, but I remember distinctly making a little comic when I was in like primary school, like really early on. I made a comic about me and my best friend sharing a house, and I was sitting on the couch, and he went to the door, and there was like Girl Scouts sitting there selling cookies. He walked up and they said, "Oh, you're gonna buy some cookies," and he pulled out a shotgun and he said, "Leave the box."
What?
And then he just walks back into the room where I'm sitting there watching TV, and I see him, he has cookies. I, "Hey, can I have a cookie?" He says, "Oh yeah, sure," and he takes it and he crumbles it in his hand in front of me.
What an ass!
I'm glad. I'm glad you enjoy this idea, Tutt.
I'm gonna animate that.
Oh
my god, I love that.
That's
friendship ended. Enough, no more.
No. He's my best friend, actually.
Friendship ended.
He's still my best friend.
Oh my god.
15 years. 15 years to COW. It's cow.
Okay, I'm gonna get like you and your friend to voice act for that because oh my god.
Fantastic.
That's awesome. I love it.
I can't help but feel that it's funnier to me because we don't have any way of obtaining that kind of weaponry.
Yeah. Okay, I kind of had a similar thing. Okay, so, back in, like, 3rd grade, I had no friends whatsoever. And, I thought, hey, wouldn't it be hilarious if instead of talking to people and actually socializing, I just start, like, drawing my own comics and stuff like that.
Who needs socializing when you can fake it in a comic?
Yeah, fake friends in a comic, right? Right, guys? Right?
So I remember, okay, I was looking back through old art one day and I found this really special little notebook, you know, a rolled, you know, whatever. I was looking through it and I found like this 3-page comic, and like it wasn't like a comic in the traditional sense. It was like each page was a panel. And I drew a tree, a girl and a dude, and a beehive. And the girl's like, "I'm gonna climb that tree. I'm gonna go get honey." And the dude, as she climbs up the tree, he's like, "Watch out, bee." And then the next like page, I guess, was like an unfinished panel, and like it was just a tree and the beehive. The girl is gone, and the dude had no hair. And I'm like, the dude got cancer.
What the fuck?
I had no idea what the fuck was going on.
Look out, it's a bee. Oh no, cancer.
Were you okay?
I was just looking back on it, and I'm like imagining this world and like where the girl like got stung by the bee and like she fell and died or some shit, and the dude comes back years later, he has cancer, and he's like looking at the tree.
What the hell?
I don't know what the fuck was going on, but it was so weird.
I remember distinctly why I made the comic that I made, and it was entirely because I had a really fucking dark sense of humor back then. I still have it, but now it's hidden a lot better.
I've noticed.
You've got to keep that. Keep that away.
Boy.
People don't like to see
Gotta get
that fucked up shit, man.
revenue. Oh
Yeah,
my god.
honey boy.
Mm.
Hey,
No, but like I
do secret.
don't know
Being
why
funny.
I drew that certain comic. It was so fucking weird.
Yeah.
You know
I-
what? It was a really good plot twist. Best plot twist I've actually ever fucking had.
I love cutesy
There
runs.
was like no context. I bet I could find or try to find like the specific notebook and like show it one day because I really want to show the world. I want this to be an animated series. I want to know the lore. No, but
The whole fucking
yeah.
whole fucking base story built off of just the guy with cancer at the tree with the beehive in it.
Maybe I'll make a 5-minute animation on that instead.
It's like all like comical, and then suddenly there's like super dramatic music, and she just fades away from the tree, and it pans down, and then there's the bull.
You hear
This
a
guy just
snap
standing there, no
after
hair.
She dissolves.
There's a single tear coming down from his eye, and he just says, "Look out, bee."
No! Oh my god.
Damn it. Mm.
Oh my
Glass is telling us to go look at his art stuff going on over there. That's pretty neat. I'm looking at it now. It's in your server, Tutt. Yeah.
I'll give you the link to that later on. Jess, if you want.
Ooh. I'll try.
Oh, but
I'll try. I'm too cool for this, okay?
I'm too famous to be in your shitty
Bitch, I
Discord
ain't
server.
fucking anywhere near fucking famous. I don't consider myself famous until the day that I just get given free stuff because I'm me, okay? The day that I get to the point where I just get given free stuff because it's me,
The
I
day
will
that you have a
consider
PO
myself
box.
fucking... Yes!
If you-
Then I'm famous!
If you can open a PO box and get a crap ton of shit, and half of it is just really gross stuff that people have sent you, then you're famous.
Then
To be
you're
honest,
famous.
like,
Yeah.
when I have enough money, my money's going into making a PO box, and then
Yeah.
I'll just probably do like unboxings on my channel
Nice.
occasionally.
All right,
Because I find them so fun to watch when they're done well.
we got
Okay,
about.
do ASMR unboxing.
No,
please.
don't do
Hi
that.
guys.
No,
Welcome to
stop.
my ASMR unboxing.
Oh my god.
Crochet.
Get like one of those like really weird microphones where it's like left and right.
Just make a couple of noises.
Yeah, just
Oh, I was doing it with my
Jesus.
mouth, but that works.
Nice.
like
Bank-
lip smacking. Like,
Bank had
Like,
a
imagine if I
question.
get said something really scary or like really gross, and all you hear is ah.
What the fuck? Bank asked a question. Can you name one or two video game, comic, anime, or whatever that has inspired your art style or created your passion for art?
Soul Eater! Ow, I hurt my hand.
You're Soul Eater.
I guess, really, I've been affected a lot by Steven Universe, as said in the last podcast. But anime in general,
Allies.
with what I'm trying to say, with anime, I think I don't know if you've heard of this, but it's called Sergeant Frog.
Oh, of course.
Oh,
Oh my god.
Sergeant
Frogs that
Frog.
want to take over the world, right? And
Yeah,
then-
yeah. I actually
Yes.
saw him a few
Sergeant
days
Frog.
ago or a few weeks ago. It's my favorite.
Fantastic.
But
It's great. It's beast. Thank you.
I drew them a lot in the 6th grade. And yeah. I don't know. It's just like that's really the anime that was like, I want to do that.
I remember the two things that I'd say like my art style reminds me of, or is at least inspired of, Animal Crossing and Soul Eater. Like, imagine if Animal
you're
Crossing
right.
and Soul Eater had a weird deformed baby. That's my style, okay?
Yeah.
I can actually see that with your art. Yeah.
I-
I was about to say earlier that like it looks a lot like Animal Crossing, but still.
I-
Oh my god.
I do not have a clearly defined style, but I would say probably going off of like what inspired the style itself is probably Jess and Steven.
Aww.
Yeah. The-
Fucking gay.
I mean,
No.
it's
No,
the main
Oh
reason
my God.
behind that is because every time I had like issues where I didn't know how to do stuff with art, for one, I normally tried to make my art, in the same way that Steven makes his art, because I admire his traditional art a lot more than his normal art, but I still think they're both really, really good. And then every time I had any issues where I didn't know how to do things, the first person I came through when I needed help was actually always Jess.
I'm a fag. I'm an art fag. Oh, I'm allowed to say that. I forgot that word is still like somewhat considered like to do with the gay thing. Okay. I don't want to
It's
get too
fine.
much into this, but I see fag as fag, not as gay. Okay, like.
When you say fag is fag, do you mean
I mean-
cigarette?
I mean it as like. How do I explain it? It's like its own word that doesn't really have a meaning apart from just being insulting to me.
Like asshole.
Spyglass.
Kind of
Yeah.
The way that
Yeah.
the way that I always imagined it when I imagined it was because I heard it. I feel really stupid for this, but people explained to me faggot as a bundle of sticks before I learned anything of the homosexuality of it.
I don't have anything linked with homosexuality. Like,
So,
I know
like,
some
yeah.
people take offense to it, so I try. I know some people take offense to it, so I try my best not to say it.
The way that I always thought of it was someone explained to me that it meant bundle of sticks, and I wondered really cautiously why it was an insult then, and I'm like, what is a bundle of sticks for? A bundle of sticks is used for kindling. Yeah, I can see why saying that a person is only use in life is to be burned. I can see why that would be a good insult.
Oh wow. Okay, so when you said
Oh.
like
Oh,
how
Tom.
I meant a bundle of sticks.
Oh no.
What?
Oh
I don't-
no.
Is that true?
Oh no.
Yeah, I was wondering. I didn't want to say that because I didn't know if it was true. But yeah.
Wow, Dev, you basically nailed it.
Is that really true? That's so fucked.
I think it is.
Okay, but like fucking whenever you said like the bundle of sticks thing, I remembered this one Simpsons episode where it's like that kid that has like blonde hair and like a white shirt and red shorts. He's like as like how did he word it? He's like, as one we are weak, but and like he snaps a twig and then he grabs like a bundle of twigs and he's like, but together we are a mighty faggot.
I remember that now. That was that Martin that said that?
Yeah,
Martin Prince.
I remember
God
that
damn it.
episode. Wasn't it like a Treehouse of Horror?
I don't know actually. With myself and the word faggot, it's now become something that I don't often use, mainly because
By the way,
of
I'm working on it.
there's this stare that my brother gives me that lets me know his entire view on it, and I really, really am scared of disappointing my brother.
Aww. That's adorable. Okay.
I have a
But,
I have a
yeah.
picture of him in my wall.
Aww.
That's really. Never mind. I was about to say that's really gay, but then I thought twice.
That's my brother, and yes, he is.
Okay. So this has been a really great stream. We went from talking about art to talking about the usage of faggot. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and yeah, and thank you Jess for being our guest for this week.
Hey, almost went a little controversial with it's not a good stream without being kind of controversial. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Next step, PewDiePie.
No.
I was drinking. I took a sip after laughing, and then you said PewDiePie and just fucking spat out my drink.
Also, I gotta say, guy who can't sing. I gotta say, somewhat. I think I trust Tom a bit more than I trust Wikipedia.
Yeah. But yeah. thank you guys for watching, and hopefully we'll be on time next week because oh my god.
No, I think it's fashionably late. Very
Yeah,
fashionable.
that's
late.
exactly
Very
right.
fashionable, like Vogue fashionable.
Yeah, because we got the lovely Jess on here. God damn.
I am not fashionable, bitch.
Very,
I'm
very
literally
fashionable.
wearing
Very
the shirt I slept in.
Strutting in.
I'm wearing the shirt I slept in. Although it is a cute shirt, okay? But anyway, still.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching, and hopefully we'll see you next week. And yeah, I really don't know how to end this, but we love you all.
Goodbye.
Hey, thank you very much for watching. Please come back next weekend at some point when we have it again.
Yeah. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
I think I cut my tongue while I can.